Welcome to the Library of Virginia. I'm Mary Julian, one of the curators of our exhibition, We Demand Women's Suffrage in Virginia, which opened earlier this year as part of the library's centennial celebration of the ratification of the 19th Amendment guaranteeing women's right to vote. Since the gallery is closed as part of our efforts to slow the spread of COVID-19, we wanted to bring some parts of the exhibition to you. Today I want to talk about one of the more visible ways that Virginia women advocated their right to vote. In a day with no television or social media to draw attention to your cause, participating in parades was a way to get your message to a wide audience. Local communities in Virginia held Labor Day parades, July 4th parades, police and fire department parades, political parades. It was a popular form of entertainment. Virginia suffragists took part in many such parades. In 1912, members of the African American women's clubs in Hampton and Norfolk staged a suffrage parade as part of the festivities at the convention of the National Association of Colored Women. In 1915, the Norfolk Equal Suffrage League decorated a car with placards and banners and joined the city's Labor Day parade. During World War I, the Richmond Equal Suffrage League designed a float with suffrage banners and Uncle Sam for a Liberty Loan Parade. But suffragists also staged their own parades to build support for votes for women. Virginia novelists Mary Johnston and Ellen Glasgow both participated in a parade of 10,000 women and men in New York City in 1912. Ellen Glasgow described its democratic nature to a Richmond reporter and her feeling that here was a body of all kinds and classes of women banded together for a common cause, who were showing their solidarity with the suffrage movement. One of the most well-known events in the campaign for women's suffrage was the large parade organized by Alice Paul that took place on Pennsylvania Avenue in Washington, D.C. Taking advantage of the large crowd that would be in town for Woodrow Wilson's inauguration in March 1913, the suffragists planned a visual spectacle that included women on horseback, marching bands, 24 floats, and thousands of women in color-coordinated attire marching together. More than 100 Virginians participated. Equal Suffrage League members came from all over the state, including Richmond, Norfolk, Fredericksburg, Bedford, and Lynchburg. Richmond artist Adele Clark wrote about the enthusiasm of the women who marched behind a white banner with Virginia written out in large blue letters. Not long after the parade began, the mostly male spectators began pushing into the parade route, blocking the women from passing and grabbing, shoving, and harassing them. The police weren't much help, but a government cavalry unit was able to restore some order. According to Adele Clark, the outrageous hoodlumism didn't keep Virginians from completing the parade. Hampton suffragist Faith Morgan described the pitiably little protection that the police provided. Not only did some men spit on or near our skirts, she later recalled, but they also stuck out their feet so as to almost trip us up. She landed on the next out-projected foot as hard as my 155 pounds would serve me. And she concluded gleefully, I could hear a plaintive voice behind me bleating, She stepped on my foot! She stepped on my foot! The glow of my satisfaction is ever burning. African American women also participated in the parade, although Southern suffragists protested their involvement. African American suffragists marched in groups separate from white women, although journalist Ida Wells Barnett defiantly marched with her cohort from Illinois. Mary Church Terrell led a contingent of the National Association of Colored Women, and students from Howard University, wearing their caps and gowns, also proudly joined the parade. One was Jimmy Bugg, who was a native of Lynchburg, who had recently helped establish the Delta Sigma Theta sorority at Howard. A local member of the NAACP reported to the Crisis that bystanders hadn't treated African American women any worse than they had treated the white women, and she praised the African American marchers for the courage of their convictions in participating despite being discouraged from doing so. The parade and the rough treatment of the suffragists received national coverage in newspapers, attracting attention to the issue of voting rights for women. And the suffragists continued organizing parades and other public demonstrations until the 19th Amendment was ratified in 1920. Although parades, demonstrations, and protests in Washington, D.C. are common occurrences today, suffragists were one of the earliest advocacy groups to use the city as their stage in their call for equal rights. When the library is open again, I hope you'll visit our exhibition and get to see these pieces of history for yourself. In the meantime, you can learn more about the suffrage fight in our book, The Campaign for Women's Suffrage in Virginia, and also at our website, edu.lva.virginia.gov/we demand. Thanks for joining us.